Hello, everyone. Welcome to another lecture series on leadership. And in this lecture, we will quickly be going through style approach. Now, to begin with, I would like to clarify that I'm just going to be giving you a brief overview of the entire chapter as what really style approach is and what are some of the basic studies that have been done over the years in this particular area. Now, to begin with, let me try to recap. As we discussed in the class that the behavioral approach is different from the trait and skills approaches to leadership because the behavioral approach focuses on what leaders do rather than who leaders are. I'll again repeat. The behavioral approach is different from the trait and skills approaches that we covered in the previous chapters. Why? Because in behavioral approach, we are more focused on what leaders do rather than who leaders are. Now, it is suggested that leaders engage in two primary types of behaviors. Number one is task behaviors, and number two is relationship behaviors. Now, how leaders combine these two types of behaviors to influence others is the central focus of the behavioral approach. Now, the behavioral approach originated from three different lines of research. Number one is the Ohio State studies. Number two is the University of Michigan studies, and the work of Blake and Mouton on the managerial grid. Now, the researchers at the Ohio State University, they developed a leadership questionnaire, which is called or referred as the Leader Behavior Description Questionnaire, also known as LBDQ. Now, this particular questionnaire identified initiation of structure and consideration as the core leadership behavior. Whereas the Michigan studies, they provide similar findings but call the leader behaviors as production-oriented and employee orientation. Now, if we use the Ohio State and Michigan studies as a basis, we see that much of the research has been carried out to find the best way for leaders to combine tasks and relationship behaviors. All right. Now, the goal has been to find a universal set of leadership behaviors that are capable of explaining leadership effectiveness in every situation. Now, the results from these efforts have not been conclusive. However, researchers have had they have had difficulty in identifying as one of the best styles of leadership. So if we look at the behavioral approach, there are several strengths and weaknesses to it. All right. Now, some of the strengths that we see is, or the positive side that we have for behavioral approaches, that it has broadened the scope of leadership research to include the study of behaviors of leaders rather than only their personal traits or characteristics. Number two, it is a reliable approach because it is supported by a wide range of studies. Then the behavioral approach is valuable because it underscores the importance of the two core dimensions of leadership behavior, that is tasks and relationship. Fourth is that it has heuristic value in that it provides us with a broad conceptual map that is useful in gaining an understanding of our own leadership behaviors. Apart from this, yes, there are some negatives to this approach. I mean, researchers have not been able to associate the behavior of leaders, and especially when we're referring to behaviors of leaders, we mean tasks and relationships, with the outcomes of such as morale, job satisfaction, and productivity. Further, researchers from the behavioral approach have not been able to identify a universal set of leadership behaviors that would consistently result in effective leadership. And one thing that I would like to add here is that the behavioral approach implies but fails to support fully the idea that the most effective leadership style is a high style, the one that we discussed during the lecture, and it's there in your book as well. So overall, the behavioral approach is not a refined theory that provides a neatly organized set of perceptions for effective leadership behavior, Rather, the behavioral approach provides more of a valuable framework that can be used for assessing leadership in a broad way, as assessing behavior with task and relationship dimensions. So, finally, we can conclude that the behavioral approach reminds leaders that their impact on others occur along both dimensions. So, guys, I hope this was much more easier for you to grasp the basic idea. In case if you have any questions or queries, please feel free to ask. Thank you.